Hey, welcome. My name is Kelsey. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I want to walk you through my 2020 dream board. So I know this might be a weird time of year to be looking at a 2020 dream board. Usually that comes at like the beginning of the year or like the end of the year, reflecting on the year. Sure. But I did mine in my bullet journal. So I have been a bullet journal advocate for 2.5 years at this point. I love bullet journaling. This year I started off with this bullet journal here. It's from Minimalism Art. It's a brand you can get on Amazon. It's probably been my favorite brand of journal so far. They're inexpensive and they're really nice. And so I started off at the beginning of the year with this bullet journal, but we are at the end of June now, and I am almost done with this journal. So that means I'm transferring to a new journal for the rest of 2020. And so I thought it would be a good time to reflect on this little dream board that I set up because I'm about to transition to a new journal, and so I'm trying to figure out what I should do with this. Should I cut it out and like glue it into my new one? Should I do a new updated one? I don't know. But before we jump in, I'm sorry it's been so long. It's been a really long time since I've come on and filmed the video. The last one I did was a thrift haul, and before that it had been a long time. Things have been crazy. Life has been crazy. I'm sure similar situation where you're at, and I just needed like a while to recenter and refocus. I kind of just like took June as like an off month. I mean, I was definitely still working my normal job, lots of work, but from YouTube I just kind of like took the month off just about because I just needed some time. But I'm excited to jump back in. And so that was also kind of one of the things I wanted to like talk about with my bullet journal and like the dream board is I'm excited to get back to normal, you know? And so I thought I would walk you through my 2020 dream board, talk through some stuff, and look forward to the rest of 2020. So this is my dream board for 2020. I love this. I didn't quite finish it like right at the beginning of the year. I think I finished it, I think it was either like end of January or early February. I kept trying to decide if I wanted to make like an actual like poster board or if I wanted it like in my bullet journal. I ended up going with my bullet journal because I literally take this thing with me everywhere. I have it like marked with this little like tassel-y thing so I can like flip to it super easily. I just have this with me all the time. And so I was like, you know what? I'm putting it in my bullet journal because I want to see it all the time. So let's start at the top over here. I wrote travel goals because I wanted to travel for 2020. Things have changed. Traveling isn't really a thing right now. I did go a few trips at the beginning of the year. We went to Raleigh, North Carolina to visit friends. And we also went to Dallas for like a work trip at the beginning of the year. But since then, we have not been anywhere besides the great state of Minnesota. And so some of my goals for this year, I mean, I put my husband and I as the main picture here because I just enjoy traveling with him. Like, it's so fun to explore new things and do things together and spend time together. And I just wanted it to center around that. This is a picture of us actually at the Grand Canyon. We went to Arizona about 1.5 years ago. I would love to go back to Arizona. Loved Arizona. But I want it to center around us going on trips together. And so a few places that I put down, first being Brooklyn. I went to New York twice last year. I freaking love New York. I kind of fell in love with Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn is probably gonna have to wait until 2021. I don't think we're gonna make it out there this year. As well as Washington, D.C. That was another one. We've been wanting to go to D.C. for like years. It seems like every year we've been like, all right, this is the year we go to DC. My husband's been there a bunch of times. I've never been, and so he's like, we need to go to DC. It would be so fun. And it just hasn't worked the last few years. So we were really wanting to go this year. And again, I think it's probably just gonna have to wait until 2021. I also put down Chicago. I've only been to Chicago once. We went 2 years ago. And I would love to go again, but again, it's probably gonna have to wait. The one place that I put down that I think we are going to go to is I wanted to visit my sister and her family in the Portland, Oregon area. They actually just bought a house in Salem, and I'm so happy for them. And so we wanted to visit them. We've been wanting to visit them for years. They visited us like 2 summers ago, and so we've just been trying to get out there, but again, it's just hard. And so I think we're gonna make it happen this year. We're planning a road trip right now to go out to the West Coast towards the end of summer, and so we're hoping to make a stop in Oregon, visit them for a few days, and then continue down to California. If you don't know, my husband and I are both from California, and we travel back home. That's kind of like our main place we go because most of our family lives there, and so we tend to travel there pretty frequently. And so typically when we're trying to go somewhere else, it usually ends up going to like a home trip because it's important to see family and we like to go home. And so planning on going home this summer, but just making a big road trip out of it and going through like some of the Midwest that we've never been to. So it'll be really fun. So hopefully we'll make Portland happen. I also wrote down that I wanted to explore my city more, meaning that I wanted to like walk around downtown more, spend more time downtown, and just like I live just outside of downtown. We live in Minneapolis, but we live just outside of downtown, and I just wanted to be in the like downtown kind of feel more. But then COVID happened and there's not anything going on downtown, and so I've been trying to walk around other places. We've spent so much time outside this year. We've gone to so many state parks, so many parks around the city, around the Twin Cities, around the metro area. And so that's kind of been like a nice alternative to city walking, has been outside and like going with our dog and just hanging out outside. So that's been really nice. I put some inspirational pictures. I really wanted these pair of Doc Marten boots. I actually bought them, so complete. I also put a Jeep Gladiator down here just for like aspirational reasons. I've never been like a Jeep fan, but for some reason when the Jeep Gladiator came out, I was like, yes, I love that car. I also, one of my goals this year was to read 12 books. So that means I'm reading a book a month. And so far, so good. So the books I've read have been Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. I read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And then I read Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And then I read Girl Stop Apologizing, another Rachel Hollis book. And then last month I read You Are a Badass by, I don't remember her name, and I don't have the book right by me, sorry. And then the book that I'm reading right now is Harry Potter and The Prisoner of Azkaban, which I'm almost done with. Probably gonna finish that this weekend. I also have this Metro card up here. This is from New York. Again, just like a memento that I love. Even beyond just like a reminder of New York, but just like a reminder of like city living and like slowing down in general. So when I was in New York last November, I kind of just had this like really big epiphany for my life. I started a lot of things then. I started journaling. I started listening to more podcasts. I just had this like time of like really slowing down and really enjoying where I'm at. And I feel like something around public transportation does that to you. So whether it's waiting at like the subway station or walking to the subway station, or not having a car and not being able to just like jump in the car and run, which is what I do now. And so this kind of is that like reminder for me, like, hey, slow down. Remember, do you need to walk somewhere? Can you bike somewhere? Just slow down, take it easy, don't jump in the car for every trip that you need. And so I keep this with me all the time. This side is a little bit more abstract. There's not as many like, hey, I want this, I want to do this, and these are the books I'm reading. It's more like, hey, your only limit is you. It's true though, like it's stupid, and it's stupid to get in your brain. You are your only limit. You know, it's stupid. And then this is a picture from one of our coffee shops. This is a sign that we used to have. It's an old neon, and I'm so sad it broke. Like, I wanted to personally get it fixed and like just have it in our house, but I don't know what happened to it. But just said continuing developing skills. Coffee is a really cool thing where there's always something new happening. There's always a new method to try, and that's something that I love about coffee, is you can continually educate yourself. There's always something to learn, and so continue developing my skills. And then I want to learn more camera things. I mentioned this actually in a video that's going up after this, is I want to learn more on the camera. A lot of times I just kind of like take it out and I'm like, record, and then something happens and I'm like, why didn't it work? Or like last week I filmed the video, maybe the week before, I went to edit it last week and realized the first half was missing somehow. And so like avoiding those situations is great, but also like just getting to know my craft a little bit better is something that I desire. And then also I have this little quote here. It says, first I do the coffee, then I do the hair, which I think what this quote meant was like, hey, I drink coffee in the morning and then I get ready, which sure, I actually don't do that order. I don't drink coffee until I get to work because I work in coffee, and so why would I drink coffee at home when I can just go to work and drink coffee, you know? But what it means for me is just trying to figure out what I want to do in the long term. I love coffee, and I think coffee will always be a part of my life. But what else? Like I've always wanted to do hair. I've always wanted to go to cosmetology school. Like since like high school, when I found out it was a thing, I was like, I want to do that. But I never did it because other reasons. And now I kind of want to go to cosmetology school and then like maybe own my own business of like coffee shop and hair. And anyways, trying to think that through. So first I do coffee, then I do hair. Maybe I do both at the same time. You never know. And then I also put this quote here. I mean, it's kind of a quote. It's kind of just like my friend gave me this post-it note and was like, I think you need to hear this today, and like pretty much started crying. Thanks, Rachel. It just says, rise up and be the woman of God you're called to be. I am a Christian, and I truly believe that I am called to some sort of ministry, which is why I never went to cosmetology school, because I was like, oh, I have to go to school to be a pastor. Now I think that looks totally different in my life. I don't want to have like a pastoral position, but I do know that I have influence and I want to love people, and I just want to like share love. And so that was just like a great reminder to me at the beginning of this year. She gave me this post-it note and was just like, here. And I was like, okay, thanks. And so I put it in my bullet journal. And then lastly, I kind of have this like social media thing, which I've been trying to think through a lot recently. Again, kind of going along with like the rising up to be the woman of God you're called to be, is I know I have influence, but trying to figure out what kind of influence I want. Do I want it to be a beauty related influence? Do I want it to be, I don't know, there's just in the coffee world, I don't know. And so trying to think that through, What do I want? How do I want to share my influence? What do I want to do? You know, you never figure out. Do you ever figure out what you want to do? I feel like I'm doing what I want to do, but I also want to do more. Does that make sense to anyone? Probably. I'm sure everyone feels that way. But one of my main goals this year is to find another source of income. I work a lot. I manage 3 coffee shops in Minneapolis. I'm the general manager. But we also, so like our coffee shop is called Corner Coffee, but we're owned by a church. So the church is called Corner Church. And then on Sundays, all the locations are closed and there's a church that meets in each of the spaces. It's very small, very conversational, just like sharing ideas around the table kind of a thing over coffee. And I love it. It's also a lot of work and a lot of like unknowns as far as like hours go. Sure, I can like schedule people, like I schedule for just one of the locations and I can schedule, but that doesn't mean it's gonna stay like that. And because I am in charge, a lot of times I have to like fix things or cover for people or run to the store to go grab something last minute. And so my schedule has kind of become out of my control. And that's another thing I'm trying to work on this year is like bringing back my schedule to me, reining it in a little bit. So having another source of income has kind of become a strange thing to come about. I don't make money on YouTube. I have a little like side craft business kind of thing. It's called Dawn Accessories, and just about like leaning into the season that you're in. And so that was kind of something I was focusing on at the beginning of this year. And again, June, I just kind of like took off, and that did as well. And so trying to figure out a way to have a side income that's not going to take up a ton of my time, but also like give me a little bit more freedom to figure out what my next step is. If I want to go to cosmetology school, I have to have some other source of income because I can't just like not work and go to school because bills and like adults things and home ownership, you know? So that's kind of where I've been trying to figure that out. But also I had some, I said post this little thing here. It says how to create unique content that stands out online, which this was like a Pinterest thing, and I clicked on it and it was super like vague and like the steps that you would like think to create content of like plan out a list of things that you want to talk about. Done, okay. And like just not any kind of steps. So I want it to be like, how do I create unique content that stands out? Again, going back to that influence thing, what do I want to influence? What areas of my life do I want to give life to? So I had some goals for like Instagram and for YouTube, as far as like how many followers or like subscribers I wanted by the end of the year. That's not as important to me as like holding myself accountable. So like for Instagram, I am so all over the place on Instagram. I have not posted to Instagram in a few weeks. But so I want to be more consistent on Instagram. I want to be steady here on YouTube just for like creative purposes, because like being off in June, like I went to film today and was like, what do I film? What do I do? I don't have any inspiration on what I want to do. And so like creative things is just like a tool you have to keep using in order to be creative. So you have to do creative things to keep it moving. And so that's really like my goal, is just be consistent, be constantly creating, because it encourages more creativity. So that is all of my dream board for 2020. I still don't know if I want to cut this out, put it in my new journal, just leave it in here, cut it out of here, put it on my wall. I don't know. Tips, leave them down below. But thank you so much for joining me today. I know this was a little bit of a different video, but I hope you enjoyed it. I did. I love talking about this kind of stuff, and so I'll just keep doing it. But thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't already. I would love to have you around. And until next time, bye guys.